Here from Andrew Whitworth. Now, he's a former Ram, taking a little jab at the 49ers, who haven't really been spending first or second round draft picks on offensive linemen in the last, 5 years. Take a listen to this. Interesting commentary from Whitworth.
It does scream that maybe they just don't have a lot of confidence in their ability to select the right one, because I think this is the problem with offensive line. When you're going to allocate a first-round pick or a second-round pick to an offensive lineman, a lot of people love that theory, but you better be damn good at picking it. But when you miss on a high pick like that, a skilled player that's okay can still get you plenty of reps, plenty of ball. You know, they're going to catch footballs. They may not be somebody you sign back, but they're going to be productive for you. You draft an unproductive lineman, you are cooked.
Yeah, Andrew's really smart. One of the only misses that Les Snead has ever had was a second-round offensive lineman from Wisconsin, and they didn't have a first-round pick. They bombed on the second. It's like, oh, we didn't get a highly productive guy in our first two picks. Like, we didn't have a first, we whiffed on the second. So, but I will say, let's be honest, in the history of great left tackles, left or right tackles, top 30 ever, 27 are first-rounders. That goes back to a theory known as the George Young Planet Theory. George Young is a legendary former New York Giant general manager. George Young's theory was the planet gives you only about one or two human beings a year that are 6'7", 330 with good feet. The planet theory. Like, the planet gives you lots of fast guys, lots of tough guys. The planet doesn't give you 6'7", 330 and great quick feet. So there's about two offensive linemen a draft that, if you can get them, draft them. And, I mean, Jonathan Ogden's, you start looking at the great left tackles. Just start Walter Jones, Jonathan Ogden. It's like they almost all went first round.
Yeah, it is genuinely fascinating how the San Francisco 49ers have somehow morphed into a bit of a punching bag around the NFL. This is precisely what happens when you reach elite status and make it to Super Bowls but fail to close the deal. That is just the reality of it. They did not do this to the Eagles in quite the same way. Well, they do to a certain extent because there is always drama surrounding that franchise. But they do not treat the Rams this way. I am picking teams that have reached Super Bowls, won one, or not. Yet with the 49ers, it is always about questioning the organization so thoroughly. An organization that has consistently been great and well-run year after year after year. For pretty much my entire deeply engaged period of fandom, and I have gone through different phases of watching the NFL, of course, having made videos for about 2 decades now, but for as much as I have been truly locked in over these last several years more than ever before in my life, the 49ers have consistently remained competitive and among the top tier. Obviously, there have been ebbs and flows, no doubt about that. But for them to have become this low-hanging fruit, this convenient target, it strikes me as somewhat odd. And I really want to unpack this more thoroughly. But before we jump into it, 49ers fans, please do not forget to subscribe and watch the full-length video. When you do that, views go through the roof, subscribers go through the roof. It's not about chasing views or chasing subscribers. It is about being able to create 49ers content that people genuinely want to watch and discuss. That way, we can keep having the most impartial, grounded, and honest conversations about the 49ers. It makes such a huge difference, and I would really appreciate it. But yeah, let us get into it. First off, I understand the argument about swinging and missing in the first round. Andrew Luck obviously knows football very well, I am not denying that at all. But saying that they lack confidence in this area or that area, I wholeheartedly disagree with that completely. I also think that when it comes to skill position players, because of how the offense is structured and considering how Shanahan operates, it is like they can work magic. Shanahan can generate such production out of his personnel and just keep the engine running. I think ironically, there are a lot of teams, because everything with Kyle Shanahan and his offenses is so precisely timed and rhythm-based, that he is one of those coaches whose system can probably get by the most without needing an absolute elite, dominant offensive line. If anything, that would be my guess as to why there might be a de-emphasis on that area, even though I am not entirely sure that is 100% accurate. So, I just do not know. I think it is again a somewhat peculiar conversation. And also, it is like, oh, if you swing and miss on a position player, you still get some action. I do not know about that. You swing and miss on a wide receiver drafted in the first round that has brutal consequences. Sure, you might get some production out of them, but it still hurts you tremendously. Again, I reference the Eagles. Ask the Eagles, they did it. They swung and missed, and it had devastating consequences. That is why they ended up having to go out. They did not get Justin Jefferson, so they had to trade capital for A.J. Brown, and so on. It had very concrete consequences, no doubt about it. Look at the Las Vegas Raiders. Let us say Zamir White does not end up being this prolific, dominant running back. If he just provides some production, that was a massive swing and miss for them. For a team trying to rebuild, create their own foundation, and bring in a new era, that would end up being an absolute massive swing and miss. The only way you truly make that pick work is if he is a monster running back like a Derrick Henry or a Saquon Barkley, somewhere where you are just looking at him and saying, this guy is a monster. He is a beast. Even if he is just a consistent back with really good production, it does not matter. It is an absolute swing and miss with devastating consequences. Some production does not matter. When you actually look at the grand scheme of things, the consequences are devastating. So yeah, sure, you can say, hey, we got 1,100 yards or 1,000 yards out of him and 8 touchdowns. That is production. That is beneficial. It's still actually has devastating consequences because most likely your team would have been able to get production out of a back like that in much later rounds. So maybe you could say it is a little bit easier to hide and a little bit easier to talk around when you are addressing the media or having internal conversations within management and coaching staff. You can cook the books a little bit internally and do a little double talk when addressing the media or selling it to the fans. I can totally agree with that. But the consequences themselves, when it is all said and done, are still massive. Still massive. I mean, swinging and missing on a quarterback, Brock Purdy saved the 49ers in that regard, for sure. Absolutely, positively. The 49ers would be going nowhere if they did not have him, obviously the last pick in the draft. They would have done nothing in 2022, nothing in 2023. Trying to think what potentially could have been possible for them in 2024 in terms of other quarterback options. I guess technically you would have eventually had Sam Darnold, which would have been interesting. Sam Darnold would have probably still found his way to San Francisco, so that would have changed things a little bit. You would probably end up with him as your quarterback, and you would have been rescued and saved by Sam Darnold. You would still need to be rescued, is my point. Or if Sam Darnold, because of the butterfly effect, now that Brock Purdy is not there, Sam does not find his way, then you would have to try to get Mac Jones back. You would still be on this kind of crazy journey over there. So yeah, swings and misses are really brutal no matter what. But the fact that we are trying to say the 49ers lack confidence in drafting elite offensive linemen, I mean, I do not know. At the end of the day, the draft is very much like, we just kind of pick a player. Seriously, it sounds so basic, but at the end of the day, you are sitting there with the 23rd pick, thinking, what do we need? Here are all the players. Even if you do not know anything, that is what is crazy. You could actually work within the organization and literally just go off of whatever everyone else is saying, and there would be no real way to tell the difference. You could be a general manager and just listen to the media and go off what they are saying, and you would still get a lot right because it is everyone collectively. I am not saying you are always going to be right or that it is ideal or optimal. But if you actually needed to build a team from scratch, put it this way, if you needed to draft an entire team, all new players throughout the whole draft, you would be able to just go based off of public discourse, the public conversations. Again, I am not saying it is optimal. I am not saying it is perfect. I am not saying you are going to build an absolute bona fide Super Bowl roster. But there would be a lot of competence there because there is so much overlap in there. Are a lot of experts sharing their insights, the Joel Klatz and whoever else. So again, there will be some swings and misses, and everything is not going to be perfect. But even if you lacked competence, just the sheer volume of opinions and overlap of consensus would allow you to say, alright, I do not really have a lot of confidence in drafting an offensive lineman, but I can see that a lot of people have this lineman at the top of the board. We have to do it, so let us just go with that. I am sure that actually happens sometimes, more times than we realize, that you are trusting your team, your staff, your scouts, but also kind of checking what other people think. We have heard of teams doing this and owners doing this, especially recently with the New York Jets. I guarantee you some of that stuff happens a little bit more than people realize. People are always influenced by outside factors. So even if this lack of confidence was inherently true, you would still be able to navigate it, is my point. That is what I am trying to drive home. If you got randomly catapulted into a draft room and they said, dude, you have to pick. Who are we taking? We are on the clock, and you just went by what the masses and the media were saying, it probably would not be the worst pick. Seriously, there is a decent chance it would work. That is kind of how it works a lot of times. It really is. It really, really is. Which is why I find the draft both fascinating and kind of boring sometimes. It is so much more of an ultimate lottery than anyone wants to admit. We always say, oh, only like 50% of first-rounders hit, and then it is 30%, and it keeps getting lower and lower. Everyone always tries to convince you, I know who is going to work. I have the true insight. But the literal experts who are locked into college football and the draft get it wrong all the time. The guys getting paid millions of dollars to run teams get it wrong all the time. So saying, do you have confidence here? How many teams have confidence and swing and miss all the time? So, to me, this opens the door to a much messier conversation. It is interesting, though, the way we talk about the San Francisco 49ers. It is weird that we keep getting these odd sound bites from the Rams. Whether it was Puka Nacua talking about how much money you should pay Brock Purdy, or Whitworth here now. I do not know if this is him taking a shot necessarily, but it is just like, I do not know. The conversations are just, I have said this probably 10 times in this video, they are interesting. They are just interesting. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the 49ers and their lack of confidence in drafting an elite offensive lineman? Is that your read on this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment. So, whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let us get into some discussions. Let us get into some debates. But ultimately, let us just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you be a part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we are really excited to be part of. I think we are well on our way to doing it. Please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.